coming to the first question of the day, that is, which of the following proves that Himalayas are still in the state of uplift? Fossil formation, earthquake, Himalayan rivers, and dry lakes. Select the correct answer using the code. So you have to choose certain evidences which says that Himalayas are still rising. So when we are talking about fossil formation, so you know that whenever there is something which is related to tectonic activity or tectonic plates, we can rely on the fossil evidences. Okay. Second is earthquake. Earthquakes are prominent in the areas which are unstable. Okay. So Himalayas sees many earthquakes. So we can say that Himalayas are still unstable because they are still rising. Okay. So that can also be an evidence. Then Himalayan rivers. Himalayan rivers, you can say these Himalayan rivers are still young. Okay, and since these rivers are young, you can say that Himalayas will also be young and they are still in the process of rising. Then these are dry lakes. Okay, dry lakes are dry because earlier there was water, but then because of the upliftment of that particular area, these lakes becomes dry. Okay, so all these evidence can be suggesting that Himalayas are still in the state of rise. Okay. So let's see the explanation here. When we are talking about the formation of Himalayas, you must have read in your NCERT that this particular landmass, or you can say Indian plate, was actually moving towards the Eurasian plate over here. Okay, and when this particular plate first converged over here, and then it started rotating like that, and converged with the Eurasian plate like this. Okay, now you know that whenever there are two plates, okay, and they collide with each other, there are high chances that one plate will subduct and other will be over it. Okay, so basically the you can say the less denser plate. Okay, that basically the more dense plate, obviously this is more dense, and that is why that particular plate will subside. Okay, so ultimately when a plate is subsiding and another plating over moving over it, so you can say that there will be some kind of friction or some kind of crust which will be disturbing over there, and this particular crust is forming in kind of Himalayas. Okay, so these new formations which are happening over there, these are basically Himalayas because of the tectonic activity between the Indian plate as well as the Eurasian plate. Okay, so because of the result of this particular tectonic activities, these Himalayas are formed, and still now this plate is still moving in the direction of Eurasian plate, so we can say that these Himalayas are still in the process of rise. Okay. So when we are talking about other evidences, as I told you, these fossil formations are saying that the fossils found in the Sivalik hills and the Tibetan plateau, these are same. So we can say that it is indicating that the climate of Tibet as well as the Sivaliks are kind of same. Okay. Then when we are talking about the height of the Tibet, that height of Tibetan plateau was similar to the present day of Shivaliks. Okay, so we can say that the lake of the Tibet plateaus are drying up because it is rising over here. Okay, now sand and gravels around these lakes at around 60 to 100 meters above the water level, and this is possible only when this area has been uplifted. Okay, so that is also an evidence which suggests that this area is uplifting. That is what we are saying, because Himalayas are still rising. Okay, then frequent earthquakes, as I told you, if there is no equilibrium reach or this area is not stable yet, that is why there are many frequent you can say earthquake activities which are happening over there. These can be earthquakes, there are landslides, etc. Okay, then rivers of Himalayas are in their youth. Okay, they are very fast, they are going for the erosion, etc. So that is why we are saying that Himalayan rivers are youth. So the Himalayas are relatively newer. Okay, now question number 2, which of the following statement are not correct? Shillong Plateau is the oldest part of the peninsular plateau of India. Statement B is your Aravalli Mountains are oldest mountain range of India. Vindhya is example of fold mountains. Last is Rajmahal Highlands are the composed of the lava deposit. Okay, so basically when we are looking at this particular question here, you can see that you have to go for the not correct option, and Vindhyas are example of the folded mountain. These are not folded mountains, these are basically block mountains. Okay, what is block mountain? So what happens in the block mountain, basically when there is this particular block, okay, so here you can see that there is a fault line over here, and because of this fault line, this area will subside and this area will also subside relatively. So we can say that ultimately what will happen, that this will stay this will stay like this. Okay, so ultimately this will happen around the fault. So this area is uplifted now, this act as a mountain. So now Vindhyas are such mountains. Okay, so we can say that these are block mountains and not folded mountains. Okay, so let's see here. So when we are talking about the Meghalaya Shillong Plateau or the Karbi Anglong Plateau, which we have seen recently, the first statement was about Shillong Plateau. This is the oldest part of the peninsular plateau, because here you can see in the map, this is your Shillong Plateau or the Karbi Anglong Plateau. Okay, and this is your peninsular India. Here there is this gap, this is called Rajmahal Garo gap, but ultimately this is part of the extension of these plateau only. Okay, so this statement is correct. Then when we are talking about Vindhya mountains, as I told you, these are block mountains and not the folded mountains. And when we are talking about Rajmahal hills, okay, so these are basically eastern boundary of the Chota Nagpur. Okay, as I told you, there is this Garo Rajmahal gap. Okay, and this boundary is basically your Rajmahal hills. Okay, so you know that plateau is something like this. Okay, so this you can say from this particular view, you can see that this is a hill. Okay, so that is why these are Rajmahal hills, and or you can say escarpments. Okay, so basically Rajmahal hills are escarpments, and because of these hills there is and this particular plateau is there is a gap. This gap is called Garo Rajmahal gap. Okay, so Aravalli mountains are basically residual mountains. These are the oldest folded mountains. These start from somewhere in Gujarat and extend up to Delhi. These Rayalaseema are basically part of these Aravalli hills, and these are the oldest mountains in the world. Okay, so coming to the next question. When you travel to Himalayas, you will see following: deep ravines, U-shaped river routes, parallel mountain ranges, steep gradient responsible for the landslides. Okay, so when we are talking about Himalayas, you will see that all of these are true. Okay, if you have read the physical geography, so option D would be your right answer. Now I will tell you why. Okay, when we are talking about the deep gorges, okay, here you can see what happens is that this is the river course, this is the source of the river, and this is upper course, this is middle course, and this is the lower course basically. So end or the mouth is called the end of the river is called the mouth of the river, origin is called the source of the river, and at the end we will see delta. Okay, but initially here these are gullies over here. These gullies are basically ultimately called ravines. Okay, so when we go to Himalaya, we will find such gullies which are very prominent over there. So that is ravine. Okay, then deep gorges. When we are talking about this river which is basically going through this particular mountain, it will start eroding this particular area. Okay, and if there is a sudden fall in the geography of that particular area, you will see that this particular area becomes very deep. Okay, so such deep ravines are basically called gorges. Okay, so please remember that. Then from Namcha Barwa in Arunachal Pradesh at the eastern end of the Himalayas, Brahmaputra river take a U-turn. Over here you can see in this map, this is your Brahmaputra river. Okay, and then here you can see there is this U-turn. Okay, so that is also a feature of Himalayan geography. Then 3 clear parallel mountain ranges are found in Himalayas. You know that when we are talking about Himalayas, so India is something like this over here, and then we have like this. Okay, so here you can see that we have Great Himalayas, then we have Central Himalayas, then we have Shivaliks. Okay, so these are parallel, you can say ranges which are found in Himalayas. So that statement is also correct. Okay, and the southern slope of Himalayas are steeper than the northern slope. That is also true, and because of which there are chances of landslides. You must have seen that on the side of you can say our hill station, we have seen such activities like landslides. Okay, now moving further, question number 4. Consider the following statement: the northern slope of the Himalayas receives more insolation than the southern slopes. Second statement is biodiversity is found in the abundance in the eastern Himalayas as compared to the western Himalayas. Okay, so you have to choose the correct statement over here. So I would say that when we are talking about the northern slope of the Himalayas, they receive lesser insolation because southern slope receive more insolation. Okay, so this statement will be wrong. And when we are talking about biodiversity, obviously when we are talking about the eastern Himalayas, okay, so you must see that there are various forests over there in the eastern Himalayas, the areas of Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, etc. You will see there are various vegetation is found, evergreen type of forest are found over there, and that is why biodiversity will be higher in comparison to the western Himalayas, which are basically your cold deserts. Okay, so this statement is correct and statement 1 is wrong, so option B would be the right answer, that is B. Okay, now looking at the southern slope, this when we are talking about Himalayas, so the area which is towards the Indian Ocean, that is basically your southern slope, and the area towards the Tibet and China is basically your northern slope. So basically when we are talking about the position of sun, okay, that is between the topic of Cancer to Capricorn, so here we have sun, and because of which these are the insolation or the rays of the sun which are falling on the southern slope. Okay, the rays over here are like this. Okay, these are oblique in nature, so that is why we can say that this area becomes kind of cold, and this area which is getting the direct insolation, that is why these areas are having basically more insolation. Okay, and because of the insolation there are precipitation which is more over here, and ultimately these are areas which are rich in you can say biodiversity as well. Okay, so next question: which of the following river or rivers are west flowing rivers of India? Okay, Mahanadi, Krishna, Narmada and Kaveri. That is very simple question because there is only Narmada which is west flowing. Option C would be your right answer. Okay, so here you can see that this is Narmada which is west flowing over here. Okay, and this is Tapi. Other than that, all these rivers, Mahanadi, be it Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna or Kaveri, these rivers are basically your eastern flowing rivers. Okay, that is because of the slope, or you can say the tilting, which has been like that. The peninsular block of India is tilted like that. The most of the rivers are basically eastern flowing. Okay, here you can see there are certain rivers which are given. That is Narmada, and their origin is given. That is Amarkantak Hills. Then Krishna, that is near Mahabaleshwaram, that is basically in Maharashtra. Mahanadi, that is in Chhattisgarh, Shihawa Hills. Okay, and then Kaveri, which is Brahmagiri Hills in Karnataka. I would suggest that please remember all of them, but Kaveri is much more important. Kaveri and Krishna, because they have been used for various reasons. Okay. Now question number 6. Arrange the following tributaries of Indus River from north to south. That is very simple question. Chenab, Jhelum, Ravi and Satluj. So basically, if you know that Jhelum is somewhere in Jammu and Kashmir, okay, so we would suggest that Jammu and Kashmir, that Jhelum will come first. Okay, then when we are talking about other rivers here, so here you can say this is eliminated. When we are talking about Chenab is also in the northern side. Okay, so after Jhelum there will be Chenab, that is 2 then 1. Okay, so option D is only such option which is suggesting that 2, 1, 3 and 4. Okay, so first is your Jhelum, then there is Chenab, then there is Ravi and then Satluj. Okay, now when we are talking about the largest tributaries, Chenab is the largest tributary of Indus. Okay, now here you can see in this particular picture, this is your Indus. Okay, then we have Jhelum, then we have Chenab, we have Ravi, we have Satluj, and somewhere here we have Beas. Okay, Beas is a tributary of Satluj, and Satluj is under tributary of Indus. Okay, now there are certain rivers which has been discussed over here. Jhelum river has origin in the Verinag spring in Pir Panjab range. Please remember that. Okay, and it is flowing through the Vular lake as well. Okay, now then Chenab river, this is largest tributary of Indus river, and it is originated somewhere from the Baralachala, because there is 2 river streams, that is Chandra and Bhaga, which are basically originating over here, and they confluence with each other. Okay, and form Chandrabhaga river, which is in Himachal, it is called Chandrabhaga, and after that it is called Chenab. Then Ravi river, it is starting, or the origin point is in Rohtang Pass, and then when we are talking about Beas, this is from the Beas wound in the Rohtang Pass. Okay, and Satluj river, it is originated somewhere in the Tibetan plateau, that is called Rakshas Tal. Okay, so please remember that. Now question number 7. Match list 1 and list 2 and select the correct answer using the codes given below. List 1 is given name of lakes are given. In list 2 there are type of lakes. Okay, so Bhimtal, Ashtamudi, Gohna, Lunar, and types are lagoon, landslide, tectonic and crater. So basically, there are certain lakes which are quite prominent, which you must have known about. That is Ashtamudi. Ashtamudi, you must have heard during your geography. You must have heard this Kayals, or you can say backwaters of Kerala. Okay, so basically, when we are talking about these Kayals, backwaters, or these are also called lagoons. Okay, so here you can say that Ashtamudi is basically a lagoon. Okay, then when we are talking about this Lonar lake, that has been in use for changing the color, etc. So that is why that is a crater lake. Okay, that crater lakes are the lakes which are formed because of the depression which has formed due to a meteor impact. Okay, so here you can see B will be 1. Okay, so there are two options which are saying that B is 1, and then D is having 4. So that is only one option, that is option A, which is saying that Lonar is 4, that is your crater lake, and then Ashtamudi is 1, that is lagoon. And when we are talking about the other, you can say that is Bhimtal, which is basically a tectonic lake. And when we are talking about Gona, this is a landslide based lake. Okay, so option A would be your right answer. Here you can see tectonic lakes are basically because of the movement of the earth plates, or you can say rising or sinking of the earth's surface. So that is one thing. When we are talking about the lagoons or the Anup lakes, these are also known as Anup lakes. These are basically some of the sea water which gets separated from the mainland by sand or rocks or some kind of obstruction, that is can be a coral reef, etc. So basically these are lagoon lakes. Okay, so Ashtamudi is one of them. Then landslide lakes, which are basically forming because of the landslide related activities. And then crater lakes, these are formed because of the water locking in a sunken area which has been made because of, let's say, some kind of meteor impact or the volcanic mountains which form the craters over there. Okay, then here you can see, so these are some certain type of lakes which we have already discussed. That is, this is your volcanic lake or crater lake. Here you can see there is a crater which has formed, and under which this water is filled because of certain activity over there. So these are crater lakes. And when we are talking about this tectonic lakes over here, you can see that because of the rising of the surface or sinking of the surface, these because of the internal structure of the earth, or internal changes in the structure or the surface of the earth, they have formed a tectonic lake. Artificial lakes are basically man-made lakes. Oases are whenever in a desert like area you find a small body of water, these are called oases. And glacial lakes are basically formed because of the glacial activities, melting of ice, etc. And when lagoon, which I have already told you, that water of the sea has been actually separated by certain obstacle. That obstacle can be a lagoon, or that obstacle can be sand, rocks, or any kind of coral reef. Okay, now moving further, question number 8. Consider the statement given below. The water catchment area of big rivers is called watershed. The area drained by small river and the drains are called river basin. The effect of the change in one part of the river or watershed can be seen in the other part or the entire area. So basically, when we are talking about this river basin, these river basin are the larger, you can say, body, and watersheds are the small streams which are having this area, which is basically watersheds. Okay, so in a larger river basin there can be various watersheds. Okay, so these statement can be incorrect because here they have said that a water catchment area of big rivers is called watershed. So we can say that that is basically your river basin. Okay, and the small streams or the small rivers are called watersheds. Okay, so these two are incorrect. And then when we are talking about any change in the watershed, can any change in the one part of river basin can be influencing the other part, because obviously these are part of one system. So if there is a change in one part, that will influence the other part. So statement 3 is correct. Option D would be your right answer. Okay, so here they have asked for a false statements which are false. So option A would be your right answer because 1 and 2 is false. Okay, now moving to the explanation part. Here you can see this is the whole area which is basically your river basin. Okay, and then there is smaller streams which are there, which are basically your watersheds. Okay, so watershed is all of the land area whose water drains into a stream or lake. So basically there they are talking about lakes or streams, and river basin is all the water that drains into a larger river. Okay, so we can say that river basin is basically a larger part. Okay, river basin is large, watershed is small. Okay, change in one part can be seen in the other part as well. Okay, because they are working as a system, there is a symbol of unity. Okay, so now moving further, question number 9. Consider the following statement. First is, most of the lakes in the world have been formed by glaciations, which is why most of the lakes are found in the high altitude and the high mountain areas. Second statement is, the lagoon lakes located on the eastern coast of India are locally called Kayals. Okay, so basically this first statement is correct. This is logical as well because the high mountains or high latitudes has ice, and then there is glaciation. Okay, so that one statement is correct. Then when coming to the lagoon lakes which are found on the western coast and not the eastern coast, these Kayals are basically a feature of, which are found in Kerala. Okay, you must have heard this backwaters, Kayals and lagoons. So basically these are the same. They are found in Kerala. So not on the eastern coast, they are on the western coast. Okay, they ask you a statement which is correct. So you can say that only one is correct. Option A is your right answer. Okay, here you can see these are basically some Kayals, or you can say some lagoon lakes, or you can say backwaters. Okay, Vembanad is there, then Ashtamudi is there, there is this Atikulam is there. Okay, so please keep a tap on that. Most of the lakes in the world have been formed by the glaciations, as I told you, which is why most of the lakes are found in the high altitude and the high mountains. This is correct. And then lagoon lakes are on the western coast and not on the eastern coast. Okay, so when we are talking about the largest of such lagoons, this is Vembanad Lake of Kerala. Okay, so question number 10 is, which of the following statements are true about sugarcane cultivation in India? First, sugarcane is cultivated both in North and South India, which is correct. Okay, then sugarcane grown in North India contains more sugar than in South India. So this statement is incorrect, because when we are talking about the sugarcane in South India, they have more sugar content. Okay, because these are basically naturally areas which are quite suitable for the sugarcane cultivation, because the soil over there is quite fertile. Okay, you must have heard about the black soil. So black loamy soil is quite fertile, or you can say suitable for the sugarcane. Okay, so this statement 2 is incorrect. Now, while extreme colds and frost in North India are not suitable for the sugar cultivation, this is correct. Extreme cold and frost, is not suitable for any crop. But when we are talking about the black and red soil of the South India is not suitable for the sugarcane cultivation. This is incorrect. As I told you that this soil is most suitable, but the thing is in South India we do not have irrigation facilities, and that is why this is not suitable. Then factor responsible for the shift of sugarcane cultivation towards south are higher recovery rates in South India, increase in the irrigation facilities in south, and increase in the diseased areas in north. So this is correct because recently we have seen that there is a shift because of the increase in the irrigation facilities. Okay, so we can say that 1 and 4 is correct. Okay, now in the explanation we have already discussed all these things. As I told you, South India lacks irrigation facilities, and North India is more affected by the cold and frost. When we are talking about the sugar content, sugarcane from the South India contains more sugar, and fertile soil is found in south, both North and South India, because black and red soil are quite suitable, and alluvial soil in North India is also suitable. Okay, so here in the next map, here you can say that there are two prominent areas which are basically growing sugarcane. One is in the north belt and second is in the southern belt. Here black soil is found which is suitable. Here alluvial soil is found which is also suitable. Only difference is that earlier in this part of India there was lack of irrigation facilities, but they have done quite well in that direction recently. So recently Maharashtra has actually surpassed UP's production. Okay, so please remember that. Other than that, when you are talking about sugarcane, temperature of 21 to 27 degrees Celsius is basically needed. A hot and humid climate is needed. A rainfall of 75 to 100 centimeters is needed for the sugarcane cultivation. And the soil should be rich, loamy soils. And when we are talking about the other producers other than India, there are Brazil, Thailand, China, and USA. Okay, so that was the last question. There will be one question for practice. That is, what are benefits of fertigation in agriculture? First is control of alkalinity of irrigation. Water is possible. Second, rock phosphite and all other phosphite fertilizer can be applied with success. C, nutrients can be made available to plants in increased quantities. D, reduction in leaching of chemical nutrients is possible. Select the correct statements or answers using the given code below. So you have to choose the correct statement and answer in the comment box. Okay, so with that I would like to take your leave. So please go and practice more questions, and we'll be coming up with the more videos like that and videos on current affairs. Go and please watch that. If you are not subscribed the channel, please subscribe the channel. Okay, I'll see you